Welcome, ACEs. Do you know the key ingredients of effective leadership? Believe it or not, each of us who wants to be a leader has these key ingredients ready to be unlocked. Since I'm only a brand expert and growth action coach, I've decided to invite Craig Lomax, who is a business and leadership coach, to talk about this important topic. Craig serves clients from all around the world who are elite performers in their fields, from startup CEOs to a VP at Coca-Cola and the ranking officer of a department within the Space Force Task Force. Craig loves helping individuals and organizations thrive. In today's podcast, Craig will share his leadership framework to equip you with the top tips for your daily practice. This is Blooming Aces Podcast, and I'm Erna Blooms. Let's dive in. Hi, Craig. How are you doing?
Excellent. Really good. Really excited about being here with you today.
Yeah, me too. Last time when we spoke, I was very excited to see what you're going to share with our audience. I think it's going to be amazing. So before we get started, I would like you to tell us where you're at and then what's your background and what exactly just a little bit about you, what you do.
Yeah, I'm a leadership coach and I'm in Northern California, in a place called Placerville between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe.
I pass that Placerville all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because we go to Lake Tahoe for vacation.
Oh, great. Right. Well, you're gonna have to stop off on your way one of these times.
Yeah. Tell us about what you do.
Coaching over the phone, and I coach a variety of people, mostly leaders, and most of them actually come from a pool of people who are just really high achievers. They're really high functioning, high performing individuals who usually do quite a bit, a number of things really well, but they have a lot of anxiety, typically a lot of pressure, self-pressure for getting done. And so that tends to be a lot of the clients that I get referred to. And those people typically end up being leaders.
Gotcha. Are you able to share with us some of your high profile clients and what type of challenges, like a few things, challenges that you help them with?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's confidentiality involved, of course, but yeah, I've got clients, and I might be talking about clients that don't exactly fit exactly the way I described my clients, right? So not everyone's like that, but I've got a VP at Coca-Cola who is really fun to work with, super creative and innovative, and working out of layoffs and things like that, and how to handle their staff that way, and how to navigate COVID and those kind of things has been a big part of how we spend our time lately. And she's amazing. She does great. Another client is she's the head officer in a department of the Space Force Task Force, and she's and she's actually coming into a new position, and it's got some new challenges. So they're very common, actually. Now that I think about it, both those clients are reinventing leadership in a way, and that's one of the reasons why our partnership's important to them, is because I kind of come from a little different perspective on leadership and organizational health. So they are embracing that, and it's helping in their own personalities and in their own value systems. They're taking what I have to offer and going to exciting new places in leadership.
Cool. So what is your perspective that you said is different? Like, what is that perspective that you bring to them? Is that something to do with that paradox of caring that you actually share with me, or is it something a little bit different?
I think so. I think that is my worldview. And what I have that's different really isn't different. It's just that people think that it goes without saying. And and when it goes without saying, sometimes it goes without doing, right? It gets forgotten, gets put on the side. And that there's a huge difference between something that we say, oh yeah, it's here in the room somewhere, as opposed to it's right here. It's it's central to our thinking. It's what we're going to use to approach all our problems.
Like almost like you put it into priority, like right in front of you, that is mindfully, you mindfully like realize that this is something you have to do instead of like taken for granted.
Yeah. And it's pretty simple. It's basic. It's just caring, caring about people, caring about the people that we serve, who we're producing things for, and caring for the people that we work with, or the ones that we're leading.
Yes.
For the people who are trying to lead us. And if we think in terms of that, and we stop and we think that way, it's amazing how simple even the big decisions get. And if we allow that to come into the ways that we move in small increments, our small steps, it adds up to really big products that are full of wisdom and insight and are appropriate for the times and appropriate for the people. It makes things sing. But I think, and if you read a lot of the current leading consultants, or even the past ones, Drucker, and whoever you want to read who's been significant in leadership in business, most everyone has this as kind of like a sidebar, right? They say, well, here's the structure, here's how you do it, here's the mechanics of what you do in business and all those kind of things. And there's this caring element that's very important to this, right? Okay, and they keep on going. It's a sidebar in the book. For me, it is the book. And so that's, I think, the shift, a slight shift in mentality, where we say, no, that's why those guys are wise. Like if they probably were on the show, they go, yeah, Craig, like, of course, like that's that's what I'm saying when I'm.
The funny thing is, like, people like, yeah, I know. Yeah. I think you make this is what I thought was very fascinating. With you actually like highlight this caring part. It's almost kind of like, like people will say, oh yeah, I know. But the thing is, if you know, why don't you do it, right? Kind of. it's to remind people about the importance of this. And I love the fact that you put it as the book. This is the main part.
Yeah, it is. It is the heart of it. It's the essence. And if we treat it that way, if we go through our days like that, it's amazing what happens.
So do you want to share? Do you want me to share the diagram, the paradox of caring, so you can kind of walk us through that? Because I know that this is something that it's really cool, I thought, to share with our audience. Let me put it up.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming when you look at the whole thing at one time, but we can kind of fly through that.
What are we looking at?
Yeah, so really this model is kind of two main conversations. And the picture here is a hill on the top of the ground. There's a sidewalk, and then there's these pits, right? It's like a pitfall below the sidewalk. And so the top is one conversation and the bottom's another. And the two kind of start right in the wonder zone, right on that walkway in the middle, where I think as small children, and actually as adults, every morning, every day, we're in that wonder zone, and we're wondering, am I of value? Do I have meaning in this world? Am I okay? Am I lovable? We're wondering these kinds of questions, and for us to ask those questions. I'm not a proponent of ignoring those questions. I think it's okay for us to ask those questions. I think we need to be careful about how we answer the question. And so so this is kind of two different directions we can go as far as how we answer it. If you focus your attention on the downward part, this is an option I think we take, and some people are very conscious of it. Most people are not very conscious. Most of what is below that sidewalk down those pits is something that happens subconsciously. And what we do is we say, okay, well, am I okay? Am I lovable? And how am I? And they don't seem, we instinctively want to like look to the side and go, oh, I see somebody over there. If I compare myself to them, then I'll get an idea of if I'm all right.
That's true.
Yeah. And so that's, there's a lot of different things about comparison. We could talk about social comparison and what psychologists came up with in the 1950s, and we can get into those kind of things. The specific kind of comparison I'm talking about here, the way I say it, is that it's when you measure your value based on the performance of someone else. You measure your value based on the performance of someone else.
So is that a bad
thing? Yeah. Is that
a bad thing?
Yeah. So you look over and you see somebody else and you go, wow, I know I'm faster than that person. Or I'm doing better in spelling than that person. Or wow, I'm good at drawing, or I'm prettier, or whatever. In my case, I'm prettier than most. So that's one I use against a lot of people, is saying, wow, I'm so good looking, right? I feel so good about myself because compared to most people, I'm fantastic. Right? So the idea is that we typically pick something that we like, that we're winning at, and we keep working it. We have to keep working on it in order to stay on top. And but when it comes down to it, we either fail in comparison or we win in comparison. If we do, it's this thing called pride. And again, the word pride in our language can mean a lot of different things. Everything from like a group of lions to being proud of my child, which means I'm just happy for them that they've achieved the things they've done. But all of those, except for the group of lions one, when you say I'm proud of my standards, I'm proud of the work that I've done, I'm proud to be an American. We have a lot of phrases like that, and it's all good until you get up to a certain level where you say, I'm proud of my son because he's doing so well, and I must be a better parent than other parents. I feel good about myself. My son is making me feel better about myself because he makes me feel better than other people. And so that's when we start to enter into that way of thinking. It's a feel-good feeling. So people are like, yeah, what's wrong with that? And in social comparison, the science that's involved there, they call it comparing up, and actually encourage people to do it, or comparing down, actually. You encourage people to do it to feel good. Well, compare down so you feel good about yourself. That's okay. I say, you know what? It's a dysfunctional mindset. It's a strange crutch, and it's not healthy. It's not productive. It leads to dysfunctional leadership and all kinds of things. If you fail in comparison, you have insecurity, and most people don't really realize that insecurity and pride are really just the same thing. They're really.
That is very interesting that you put it at the bottom. I thought it was really interesting. You put win and proud. I mean pride or proud, and the security in the same playing field, which I thought was really interesting. I thought. Yeah. So it could actually be a trap, a pitfall, like you said. So
right.
That is a good realization.
So we walk around with these feelings that we're kind of unaware of: sadness, anger. They are really insecurity, and they come back. If we can trace the emotion back, we can find, it's because this happened earlier today that I am not feeling good about myself. And I've been comparing myself to my father, or to the person I want to be, or the person I was, or to Erna, and I'm just like, I just can't get my hair to do what yours does, Erna, and it makes me feel bad every day.
Yeah. So let's go to the upward motion here. Seems like a.
So this is how we can resolve. This is how we can resolve the situation. Is we can turn our back on comparison. We can instead of focusing on ourselves and looking inside and kind of measuring ourselves based on these people, this really strange posture, we could open ourselves up and have a posture of receptivity. Okay, and that's where we receive for lack of better term, right? We allow the love that people are offering us. We receive it and say, thank you. This is great. Thanks for what you did. You're doing something because you cared about me. And that means something. I actually am human. I need that kind of stuff in my life, and I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for it. And so if we do that, there's a strange phenomenon that happens. We actually become part of this network of love. And I know it sounds kind of foo-foo for a business conversation, but
I actually get it. Maybe I'm
yeah,
poo-poo.
and
I mean, we are poo-poo
yeah.
together. But I think we need to grow this kind of, culture, I should say, or mindset.
Yeah. So what happens is when we do that, we end up caring about other people, right? A real quick example is, let's say you're on a basketball team and the coach cares about you and you appreciate it. Well, but you're looking at another team player, and that's the guy that you wish wasn't here, that didn't make the team, that you don't like being around. But you see the coach also caring about them the same way. So you're like, wait, if either if I receive the love from this coach, then I've got to accept that his love for that guy is legitimate too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm it's a hypocritic. It's so weird for me to reject him but accept this. And so what happens is you start seeing the player from the coach's view and going, wow, you know what, you're all right, and I can care about you too, and if I want to be part of this system.
Yeah, so it's a contagious, it's contagious kind of like gesture, and you kind of associate yourself with a different type of,
Yeah, and I think that the more accepting person that we receive love from, the people who care about the more, or even if you will, going to a higher power, to God, and saying, oh wow, like if you envision God as someone who cares about everyone and you receive that also, well, now you're connected to caring about all these people.
Yeah.
And it's natural. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense not to. So what happens when we care about people on this planet is that we have compassion for them, and because they have needs. There's no way of getting around it. If you care about somebody, you're gonna see them in need, and you're gonna be compassionate. Now, whether you do something about that is another thing. If you do something about it, I call it service, right? And if you continue in that service, you'll gain responsibilities. You'll be dependable. You'll show up, but you'll also, as you go through time, responsibility kind of breeds more and more responsibility, right? That's what happens. It's like a snowball. Yeah. And as that grows, and you look back, and in this model, as that grows, you will you'll be through this process, you'll get very good at the things that you're doing, and you'll be respected for what you do and what you know and how you do it. You'll be somebody who cares about what you're doing and is skilled at it. And as a result, a natural result of that, they start calling you something. They give you a name, whether it's a large organization or it's just a few people, whatever. You're surfing and you always bring the wax. You always care about people's boards, and you're waxing stuff down. Well, then they might call you. Oh yeah, that's the wax guy. He's always got the wax. Like you've got the kid out and you got all the stuff.
Of something. Yeah, you have something like role.
They're gonna call you something. It's just I wouldn't want to say that this diagram is, oh, I want that title. And in fact, that's one of the things that the reason why I have title at the top is because we naturally want to come into places, especially when we come into new positions, and we want those top three. We want responsibility, respect, and a title. And we don't realize, even those of us who are mature and have had leadership positions and all that kind of stuff, we don't realize that, wow, wait a minute. I need to make sure that in this situation that I actually care. I've got some of these other things on board, that I've done my time here, that I've done some service. I know how to do this. I've got these skills, and that people respect me for being responsible with those skills. So, yeah.
Very cool. That's cool that you were able to explain this whole process all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. And I actually want to ask you, if you were to give like maybe advice for our audience, there's two advice I want to ask you for. Okay, so one of them is for leaders, people that like aspire to be leader, wants to be leaders, and especially they're high achiever, kind of like the people, I mean, like your clients, that you're helping. What is like the one advice that you can give to them that they can like apply today to help them to become like the best leader that could be? And then that's the first question. The second question will be like, if we are not meant to be leaders and we are like working with leaders, and what is it that you want to advise them as well to be probably the leader they wish they have or something, but then as like doesn't have to be in that big role, but at the same time like how to lead themselves. Those are probably the questions I'll have for you to answer.
Interesting. Yeah. Those are great questions. I'd like another hour. Can we work?
You have to come back then. So, okay,
Yeah.
answer one first and see how you go.
Yeah. So, one piece of advice, it's interesting. I mean, I kind of given it to you in a nutshell, right? Like,
yes, definitely.
If you could wake up in the morning and not be self-focused on like what you're trying to do and be conscious of these emotions, right? These of pride and insecurity. If you could be conscious of those and understand, oh man, the reason why this guy bugs me is because he's keeping me potentially from an advancement. The reason why I really want this money. Why do you want the money? I want these money for reasons that, go back to pride and insecurity, maybe, right? If you can be aware of those and then turn your back and say, you know what am I doing in my life that's for other people?
Ooh.
What am I doing in my life that's for other people? If I can focus on that today, how can I be a better team player with the people I'm working with? How can I support the people that I'm leading in their real lives, right? What product am I making? What kind of difference is it making in my consumers' lives, in my clients' lives? What is it doing, and how can I not make my dollars more? How can I not make my income higher, but my clients' lives better, even if it reduces how much money I make?
Funny. So as you're asking those questions, I'm asking myself the question, like, and applying it to answer it. And I'm suddenly, I have like this kind of shoulder kind of feel like kind of, like relief all of a sudden. Like, and then like you said, you once you're aware and you're asking the right question, and like you said, be careful with how you answer it. I love that you focusing, like switching the focus, right? Switching the focus from yourself to like, what can you do, instead of like entitlement, which you can like, it's all about you type of thing. And suddenly like that pressure is off, and then you kind of becoming like that space that ready to receive greatness. So that's a really good advice. So
you're coming up out of the pit, right? That's what
exactly.
You're coming out of that, and because you're distracted from it. This upward climb distracts you. You forget about the pit, at least momentarily.
Yeah, for sure.
The last thing I'd say is that if you take this model, you can use this to evaluate your own leadership. If you're having problems with your influence, then you can look at this and go through item by item. Well, am I really nurturing the respect that I have? Have I put in my time? You can do those things. You can also help people that are under you trying to, and this maybe answers your second question, right?
Yeah.
You could take this model and say, I'm not, if I don't feel like I'm being heard where I'm at, then and respected where I'm at, if I really give an honest view of this and I coach myself through this, then where am I? Where are my holes? Where are my weaknesses? Do I really care about the work I'm doing? And I start asking those questions. Am I really caring about the people around me?
It's true.
As a bad answers, you go, there's my solution.
Member, it's the same thing. I feel like, whether you're like one entity or like you're just a bigger entity, it's a similar type of model. And that's just come to like, what is it can I do for you, for other people, versus like, what can you guys do for me? It's just totally like shift the mindsets. I guess you just suddenly feel like more empowered. You're not like a victim. You're like you're a powerful being, that can actually make a difference. So that is perfect. ways to
Yeah.
end this podcast
Yeah.
today. I know we would like to probably have you back to elaborate on some stuff you're working on. And so how
Great.
can
Love
we
it.
like how can the audience get in touch with you the best way?
Well, you can go to my website, craiglomax.com.
Cool.
Or you can go to find my LinkedIn, Craig Lomax Coaching.
Cool. I'll give the audience all the links later on when we post it on YouTube. So kind of it's a good reminder. It's like, hey, where's the caring? You
Yeah.
know, so that was kind of awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I believe that, you know, we have great reminder, great question to ask ourselves, and hopefully make a difference in our, you know, daily life for ourselves and others, you know. So really appreciate what the work you do.
Thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
All right, Aces, I hope you enjoyed this podcast and learned a few tips to apply in your daily life. Please subscribe and share this episode if you know anyone who might need this insight. To learn more about Craig's work, you can find his website and link below. Thank you again for watching and see you on our next episode. Stay safe and let's bloom together.